What I heard, the Gora Arti starts at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
No dispensation for loss of 25 minutes, right? Well, one of our rituals is to sing Jai Romapada. So, Jai Romapada, everybody. Haribol.
Haribol.
On the Sri Chaturthi. Jai Romapada is appropriate for any occasion because Radha Madhava or Radha Krishna, they're the source of everything, including Lord Nrsimhadev, including us, including everything, and there's nothing else. They're the source of everything. So this is the Sri Chaturthi, and what I would have done if we had more time, we're not going to do, but I'll tell you what I would have done. We would have sung together a very nice song, classic musicians recorded, singing stotras in glorification of Lord Nrsimhadev in various ways. But we'll just gesture in the direction of, there are many, many, many wonderful songs in glorification of Lord Nrsimhadev that go back as far as time goes back. And there are many, many Nrsimha Bhaktas all over. And recently, the BBT published a book. This is the cover image of this book. My assumption is they're taking advantage of the movie called Avatar. So they call it Avatar art to help the public appreciate the artwork of ISKCON. You know, the frame of it is the contemporary artists of the world, as traditionally they have painted paintings of religious expression, and ISKCON has done so. It's intended for the public, but it's nice for the devotees too. So it's not only about Lord Nrsimhadev, but it's forms of the Lord. This is the cover painting. This is not an advertisement, I'm just glorifying Lord Nrsimhadev. But it's a nice painting. We're honoring today the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadev, and here's a little Nrsimhadev Swami story. When he became a devotee, he's from a nice family in Michigan that, so many years ago. Finally, his mother came to see him at the temple, and the first thing she saw on the wall was this one. And she wanted to know, who's that? What's that? She said, that's God. And this is the God that my son worships. So ordinary people don't understand about Lord Nrsimhadev, but of course he appeared for the purpose of protection of Prahlad, and there are wonderful prayers as well as wonderful teachings, 2 chapters of prayers and teachings to his classmates, all centered on the teachings that he heard from Narada Muni. Well, Narada, when Hiranyakashipu, powerful demon, took over Indra's abode, the demigods were in great distress. They had lost their kingdom and lost everything. And when they heard that Hiranyakashipu had gone to the forest to undergo austerities in order to achieve immortality, in his absence they took the opportunity to come and take back their kingdom. And when they came to take back their kingdom, they found Kayadu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu, who was pregnant. So they thought, uh-oh, Hiranyakashipu Jr. is in the womb of Kayadu, and so they were planning to take her into custody and wait till the child is born and then do the needful, annihilate the child, so they wouldn't be disturbed by Hiranyakashipu Jr. But Narada came right at the right time, like he often does, and requested Kayadu be entrusted to him, because within the womb of Kayadu was a great devotee. Now, how did he know? Because he was a pure devotee of Krishna, he knew. So there's two different versions of who Prahlad was in his previous life. In the Bhagavatam, Prahlad says he's a descendant of Vaikuntha. He was sent from the spiritual world by the personality of God to teach the ways of devotional service. He's a Vaikunthavasi. And then there's another, which means it could be another cycle of yugas, provided in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas, you've heard of that book? By Sanatana Goswami. It teaches, it's a how-to manual, how to do Abhishek, how to worship the deity, how to everything, how to have festivals, how to observe Ekadasi, how to everything. So in this section on Ekadasi, there's this nice description, Hari Bhakti Vilas, that's honoring the significance of Ekadasi, in case you wondered. I remember long ago, devotees thought Ekadasi, you fasted on Ekadasi because it was an inauspicious day. And they asked Prabhupada, is that why? And he laughed. He said, no, because it's auspicious. And to illustrate this, Hari Bhakti Vilas describes, Prahlad asked Lord Nrsimhadev, why is it that you were so merciful upon me? Because of then various expressions of humility, born in a demoniac family and no education, no qualification. Why did you show such special mercy to me? And then there's this lengthy description, which I'm going to keep really short because it's already 6:30. In your previous life, you were a Brahmana. And in that life as a Brahmana, you had a girlfriend, Brahmani, and you were not observing any of the Brahminical rules, and you became kind of fallen and this and that, and listed the bad things that he did, kind of like a Jamila narration. And then you had this disagreement with your girlfriend, and so you observed fasting. You were like, and so you were up, awake all night long and you observed fasting, and it happened to be Ekadasi. And so that inadvertent effort or event of observing Ekadasi in that, Nirjal Ekadasi manner, you got this opportunity to get my mercy. So, dear devotees, you may consider yourself unqualified. Maybe even consider yourself qualified, who knows? But observe Ekadasi and special merit comes to you because it's invested with special power by Lord Vishnu for enhancing Vishnu Bhakti or Krishna Bhakti. So in any case, Prahlad was within the womb of Kayadu, and in I think it's the Padma Purana, not in the Bhagavatam, Kayadu requested a benediction from Narada while she is in his ashram, as we see in this image here, that my son not be born until my husband returned from his austerities. So he gave her that benediction, and He gave some other benedictions also. He'll be the conqueror of the Asuras. So, Narada, knowing that Prahlad was within the womb of Kayadu, he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to her, and of course to Narada. Excuse me, to Prahlad. And it was a long time, because how long was Hiranyakashipu doing his austerities for? Long time. Years and years and years and years, and that's a long time to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. He became a perfected Bhakta. And after Hiranyakashipu finished his austerities, he then came back to his palace. The demigods got displaced again, and Prahlad was born. The next thing we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam 7th Canto, chapter 5, chapter 6, is Prahlad's instructions to his classmates. And then this famous verse, how does it begin? Komara acharya pragyo dharman bhagavatani ha manusham durlabham janma. I've got it wrong. Durlabham manasam janma. It's very difficult to achieve the human form of life, but it should be taken advantage of in a proper manner from the tender age of childhood. So he speaks this verse to his classmates and gives them all the reasons why, detailed reasons why they should take up devotional service. And he leads them in the activities of devotional service. They were very happy to engage in kirtan until Sanda and Amarga came back in the classroom. What? So a whole series of events took place. Hiranyakashipu brought Prahlad before him and asked him what the best thing that you've learned in school, something very natural that a parent will ask their child. Basically said, I haven't learned anything good in school, but I can tell you one thing that's good, and that's devotional service. What? Where did you learn this devotional service? And so he challenged Sandanamarka, you haven't been teaching properly, or the other children are polluting my son. You better check this or you're in trouble. So it happened again. And he decided that because his son has now become a worshipper of his enemy, Vishnu, he should be killed. And so we know the story in various ways. In a pit of venomous serpents, Prahlad was given the death sentence, but he just remembered Krishna, remembered Vishnu, and they didn't harm him. So he had him trampled by a big elephant, and the big elephant didn't harm him. He had him pushed off a cliff. I like what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. In his commentary, in this connection, he said, Lord Vishnu didn't show himself right away. He wanted to see, what's Prahlad going to do? Is he going to scream? Is he going to cry? Is he going to become fearful? So he didn't show himself until the last moment. And then he caught him. And I heard this from Gauranga, I didn't read it. No, it wasn't, so it was another devotee. Said in the Sri Vaishnava commentator, Prahlad, as he was falling, was holding his chest because he didn't want to hurt Paramatma when he fell to the ground. And put in flames and a pot of boiling oil and nothing. Man is the most powerful person in the universe, could not harm a little boy. He was enraged. Prahlad, where are you getting this power? From the same place you are. From Vishnu. Oh, Vishnu! Where is this Vishnu? I'll kill him. He's everywhere. Everywhere. Is he in this pillar? He's everywhere. Hi, Vishnu. And so he slashed the pillar with his sword, and out of the pillar came, this is, by the way, this is in the Berkeley Temple. There's different panels around the temple room, and this is Lord Nrsimhadev coming out of one of those with a loud roaring sound, shaking the whole universe. We heard yesterday, according to HH Swami, the elephants were crying, and as Lord Nrsimhadev moved, the mountains were pushing up into the sky. The whole earth was trembling. Very, very powerful form of the Lord. This image on the right is a deity that our ISKCON HH Swami worshipped personally. At a certain point in time, he was diagnosed with some terminal disease. So he prepared himself to leave the world. And the first thing he did was begin worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev, because he had been hankering to do that, but his life had been too busy to do that. Then he had the reason and the time that this was his deity. And Hiranyakashipu, we hear from the scripture, he thought, this is a mystic person that's showing some mystic power. He's showing this interesting form, but I have mystic powers too. And so a battle began, and we know who won. And because of the Lord's giving protection to the Brahmanas, because Lord Brahma had given a certain benediction, you can't be killed this way, that way, the other way, he honored, he upheld the word of his dear devotee and Brahmana, Lord Brahma. I want to go over here for a minute. It's the nature of the personality of Godhead. He loves his devotee very much. And the devotees love the Lord very much. And the demigods, although they're not pure devotees, they have also material desire. They're mixed devotees. Otherwise, they'd go back to Godhead, but they became demigods because they had some material desire. But they're very devoted to the personality of Godhead, and so when they say, he upholds their word. So you know one of the reasons why Ram killed Bali the way that he killed Bali? Well, he could have, he's the Supreme Lord, he can do whatever he wants. But the demigods had given him a benediction. He also wanted immortality. But they said, you know, sorry Charlie, we can't give you immortality. Then he was very clever. He said, then whenever I'm in combat, I want the benediction that whoever I'm in combat with, then half of their power comes to me. So my power plus half of their power against half of their power, who's going to win? He can't be defeated. So because the demigods had given that benediction, Lord Ramachandra did not take the position of fighting him in an equal battle because because that would have superseded the benediction given by the demigods. So he did it the way that he did it because it was still within the codes of Dharma and it didn't supersede the benediction of the demigods because he upholds the words of his devotees. Nice, huh? So here he is, Lord Nrsimhadev. Neither daytime or nighttime, neither inside nor outside, neither in the land or in the air, neither this, neither that, not with weapons. He finished Hiranyakashipu and exhibited what we heard yesterday evening, transcendental anger. Question, what's the difference between transcendental anger and the anger that we know? Well, the anger that we know, this is now directly from Srimad Bhagavatam in Prahlad's prayers. We're invested with the modes of nature and Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava, that's the Krodha that we know. But the Supreme, where does that Krodha that we know come from? Where does everything come from? It comes from Krishna. So, anger that's without the modes of nature exists in the Supreme Lord. And why does the Supreme Lord become angry? Because Prahlad was put into such difficulty. He was transcendently angry, and he behaved in a transcendently angry way, appropriate for Hiranyakashipu, ripping out his entrails and placing a garland of intestines around his neck. My goodness, pretty extreme. Now there's lots of old paintings. This is Nrsimhadev, that's the title of the painting. And different ones, different artists in different periods of history. There's our ISKCON art. There's an interesting, colorful one. Different places in India and periods of time and history. Obviously, it's a very important and famous part of Lord Nrsimhadev's appearance. He looks like a pussycat or a rabbit. And after Hiranyakashipu was killed, all of his associates, they came rushing forward to take revenge for the killing of Hiranyakashipu. And so the anger of Lord Nrsimhadev increased and his number of arms increased. And he picked up these demons and ripped them asunder, and some of you see flying through the air and bloodied and big mess. And his anger was extreme, and so the demigods offered prayers after Hiranyakashipu and all of his associates were finished. And whole chapters worth of prayers. I invite you to read carefully the prayers to the personality of Godhead. There's a reason why there's several sections, like entire chapters, multiple entire chapters. Long ago, about to the Supreme Lord, prayers to Krishna in the womb, whole chapter, prayers of the demigods. This whole prayers of the demigods to Lord Nrsimhadev and many other places. Some years ago, we were conducting, mirroring, or with the intention at least, to mirror the Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education. For several years it worked and kind of fizzled. We had a Gita Nagari Institute for a week long, not a month long, and different topics. So I decided I think a nice topic would be prayers from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I had no idea what I was getting into. There are nearly half, I think it's a bit more than half, of all the verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam are prayers. What does that tell you? Prayers are really important. And you study the prayers carefully, and it tells you a lot about the person who is being prayed unto. And it also tells you about the person who's offering the prayer and the different kinds of relationships that exalt the devotees that know the Lord better than we know the Lord. And they have a particular relationship that's unique according to their position, as do we have a relationship that's unique according to our position. And as we mature in our Krishna consciousness, those realizations and the nature of the relationship also evolves and evolves until it becomes just our own spiritual identity. There they go. Giant Vijay. So after the demigods were unsuccessful, and although their prayers are beautiful and eloquent and elegant and highly learned and polished, choice words, that didn't do the trick. The Lord was still angry. And so they tried to get the goddess of fortune to go forward, and she wasn't going to go forward. She was also feeling adbhuta rasa. We discussed this yesterday. She was astonished. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, she was astonished by the influence, because of the influence of the Lord's own potency, his Leela Shakti, or in ISKCON we say, the internal potency, Yogamaya potency, influenced Lakshmi to not recognize that form and to feel in that astonishment. Adbhuta rasa is one of the 7 secondary rasas. And when the secondary rasa rises in a crescendo, the primary rasa becomes eclipsed temporarily, and the secondary rasa is. So Krishna just wanted to enhance the rasa experience of Lakshmi and the demigods, so he arranged that she couldn't recognize her Lord and Master. And also so that Prahlad could then be sent forward by Lord Brahma to offer nice prayers. And when he came before the personality of Godhead, Lord Nrsimhadev very mercifully placed his hand on Prahlad's head. Ecstasy at once surcharged through his body, whatever residual perfect, more perfect, most perfect condition resulted. He was completely cleansed, he was in samadhi, and he offered beautiful, beautiful prayers. A whole chapter's worth of very elevated prayers that teach us the way of spiritual life. So I can share with you that as a traveling sannyasi, there's lots of how-to questions. And I think what I'm going to do for the next week is when people say how to, I'm going to say, read Prahlad's prayers, you know how to. Because everything is there. Every how-to question you want, the essence is there. And it starts with humility. The first qualification is the sense of not having material qualification, but being completely humble. And then everything rests upon bhakti. And where do we get bhakti? From, in his case, from Narada Muni. Or from our case, from the association of bhaktas, we get bhakti. Someone who has a bhakti vessel in their heart, and they've received some bhakti, they can spill a little on you. And you go, wow, that was pretty nice, can you spill a little more? And you can then have some bhakti in your bhakti vessel. And that little bit that Prahlad said I received from Narada, that's sufficient. That you're showing this special mercy to me that you've never put your hand on Lakshmi's head, or Lord Shiva, or Lord Brahma, or anybody else. You showed this very special mercy. And many nice prayers. So I'm not going to go into all those prayers because it's already 8 minutes to the hour. but just expressing some of the art. What I want to do, I'll have to go very quickly. Are we going to be stuck to this 7 o'clock and the conch is going to blow? Who's in charge here? Yes? Okay. I'm going to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to go faster. There's some, as you see, some very nice, this Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the goddess of fortune, Narada Muni, various demigods, Prahlad offering a garland to Lord Nrsimhadev, and so forth. So we're going to have to go quickly. Go. So I want to say something about, this is from a Back to Godhead article some years ago, and there's now a book that's finally been published. This goes back, I don't know, 8, 9 years, something like that. The son of one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Dharmapa by name, had a son named Dhruva, and just like, here in this temple, there's lots of little children, and there's always, seems like there's new ones coming too, even as the little ones get a little older, there's new ones and there's new ones. So Dhruva, when he was little, he just became attracted to Lord Nrsimhadev. So he wrote an article for Back to God, and he saved up his nickels and dimes and did some odd jobs and got enough money that he could go to India and see the temples of Lord Nrsimhadev. And the article that he wrote was just the visiting of one of them, the temple in Ahobalam. This is the priest that assisted him. This is an image of a cave that is said in Ahobalam, where Prahlad stayed for some time and did some meditation on Lord Nrsimhadev, and other sages over the course of time stayed in that same place. Up on top of that tall peak, that's the place where the locals say that's where Nrsimhadev appeared from a pillar. It's very risky to get there. You got to be a mountain climber, or very determined, or very foolish. But even old people somehow sometimes manage to get up there. You have to go the back way, not the front way, obviously. And there's the top where they say, the locals say, that's the place, that's the pillar. The names of the pillar where Lord Nrsimhadev popped out of. And over here is at the very top, tippity top. So Dhruva tells, normally it takes several days to visit all these places. The guide helped him do it in one day, and the night ended. So he said, let's stay in this little shrine at the top. And as they were lying down to take rest, they heard some sound. Dhruva says, what's that? He said, never mind, just take rest. He told him in the morning, that was a lion. He smelled us, but we were protected by Lord Nrsimhadev and that little shrine. So it's wild in Ahobalam, it's wilderness. This is a cave of a temple of Krodha Nrsimha, where the Lord Nrsimhadev is worshipped as Varaha Nrsimha, and that's the cave, and you can see, perhaps imagine, thousands and thousands of different sages over the periods of ages have worshipped these forms of the Lord. In Ahobalam, I have 4 minutes. In Ahobalam, there's these essential primary deities: Varada Nrsimha, Ahobalam Nrsimha, and some of the others, Bhargava Nrsimha, Lakshmi Nrsimha. I would want to tell you the story of each of these, but tick, 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 tick. Bhargava Nrsimha is given this name because Lord Parshuram underwent austerities in a place not far away, and so the deity is named in honor of him. Chatra Vada Nrsimha is the best preserved. These are very ancient deities, but is said specifically to be very merciful. Here's another image of Chatra Vada Nrsimha. Others. Yogananda Nrsimha. There's a number of deities of Lord Nrsimhadev that show the strap that go between his knees, like yogis would sometimes do. And Karanja Nrsimha is another. This isn't really doing justice to a whole one. It's got to go a little slower, but what to do? There's a local tree called the Karanja tree that doesn't grow elsewhere, I was told. And so they named the deity after him. Ugra Nrsimha, he has many arms, and he's showing those many arms as he's bifurcating, you know who was underneath that sheet right there. Ranikashipu. This is the back side of that temple that's way up on the hill. Jvala Nrsimha. That's the goddess of fortune by his side. After the it's raining. There's water coming in. More than water. The trees are coming in. Okay, so Mohalala Nrsimha, this is where the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, became peaceful after seeing this startling form of Lord Nrsimhadev. Bhavan Nrsimha. There's even a self-manifesting deity of Lord Nrsimha that just similar to our beloved Radharaman, self-manifesting Krishna form. So in Hobalam, so much bhakti that one of the shalagrams manifested a form of Lord Nrsimhadev from a shalagram feature. And I'm going to call it quits because I feel it's not nice to do what I'm doing. What?
Yadavar Prabhu and Nrsimhadev Prabhu followed Dhruva in a tour of Hobalam.
Yeah.
There's a video available on the internet of the whole tour to all these temples.
Oh, fantastic. Well, and there's a book that just arrived on Monday, because I found out why the deliveries haven't been made. It's a 2-inch thick, 1.5 foot by 1 3/4 foot or something like that, giant, coffee table type book with pictures of all over the place. Part 1, Lost Temples. And I'm going to end because the conch is going to grow. Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Hari Hari.
Let's get ready for our tea.
So let's